Fu Wei saw the target scanning device should be weaker than ours, he didn't discover us. A slightly stronger undying scaled being said solemnly. The sturdy undying scaled being nodded, after which his gaze swept past the 20 sector lord scaled beings. Children, since the target hasn't discovered us, then we'll sneak over. Remember, you have to stay close to me and Tuo Lu, that way our scanning devices will block the enemy's detection, making them unable to detect your ripples. Yes. The 20 sector lord scaled beings were in a frenzied state. The distance is shrinking, 10 million kilometers, 8 million kilometers, 6 million kilometers. The thick undying scaled being said solemnly. Slow down and stop. The scaled being called Fu Wei Sa ordered. The life ship swiftly stopped. Everyone get off the ship, we'll fly over. Fu Wei Sa ordered. Immediately the 20 sector lord scaled beings filled with killing intent all rushed out of the ship. The other 2 undying scaled beings too followed. In space, LuoFeng's team was currently fighting with another elite team. Without a doubt, LuoFeng's team had the clear advantage, because the enemy only had 2 sector lords left. LuoFeng however gazed at the distant pitch-black space. Enemy? Tai Wo's scanning device was only 120 mixed elements. Maybe it was much better than the Thunder Fountain clans, however amongst the Undyings, there were many better ones. Just like LuoFeng's own scanning device was even more overpowered with his authority, low prices and discounts, he still spent 3.9 million points to buy it. The auctions were all worth over 10 million mixed elements. Hence, long before the enemy got within 1 billion kilometers of them, LuoFeng's scanning device had already detected them. However, at that time, LuoFeng didn't care too much, because the enemy could very well just be passing by. However, as the distance shrunk and they headed towards the battle, LuoFeng understood that the enemy had detected them. Short life forms. LuoFeng thought, his inherited memories allowed him to recognize these life forms. Horned Devourer Clan. One of the 10 million energy life forms, bloodthirsty and fond of swallowing the corpses of other life forms, a very savage race. Just like the rock life forms, some had souls, some didn't. Flesh and blood life forms, some had weak bodies, some were even stronger than metal life forms. It was the same principle. Energy-type life forms were one of the most powerful life forms in the universe. There were all sorts of strange races. There was the Masha race that was known as the strongest assassin race. They belonged to the pinnacle of energy-type life forms. However, there were also some common energy-type life forms like the Dragonthirst race that were still afraid of soul attacks. They couldn't transform as freely as the Masha race because they had a fixed body structure. However, once the body of a Dragonsucker clan member was destroyed, the Dragonsucker clan member would still be able to condense into one. This could be considered as a manifestation of an energy-type life form. However, every time it exploded it would cause them great harm. Moreover, the Horned Succubus clan could devour the corpses of other living beings to replenish and absorb the energy of the corpses. This was also an embodiment of energy-type living beings. Devouring the corpses of living creatures was something many races in the universe liked to do. In the distance, the approaching scaled creatures suppressed their excitement. The skinny undying scaled creature ordered, "Slow down Toru, will ambush them and heavily injure them first." Okay. The thick undying scaled creature was obviously excited too. Cheek, the 2 undying scaled creatures reached out with their claws. Between their claws, large amounts of undying energy began to condense and compress. Actually, this move was similar to the origin crystal of the fire god. The origin crystal of the fire god was compressed to a state even denser than the undying crystal, and then suddenly exploded. Of course, the skill required to do so was too high. Even Emperor-level undyings couldn't rely on themselves to compress such a dense and non-explosive crystal like the fire god crystal. Kill. The 2 undying scaled creatures swiftly rushed forward. The 20 sector lord scaled creatures immediately followed. As they got closer, the 2 undying scaled creatures were already prepared to unleash their undying energy balls. The Dragonthirst race, a savage and bloodthirsty race. LuoFeng thought within. 2 undyings and 20 sector lords, that's a little troublesome. Compressing the undying energy? Let's hurry and collect our spoils of war. Once we're done we'll return to our base. Captain Tai Wo laughed loudly. This battle was easy enough. Hypnotist Wei laughed. Back to our base. Poison cheered. We can finally rest. The white-robed god smiled. The group of sector lords swiftly collected the large amounts of spoils of war. LuoFeng pretended to survey his surroundings. Suddenly he stared into the distance and shouted anxiously, "Enemies! Enemies? Where are they? We haven't even fought for 3 minutes, why are they here already?" Tai Wo, Poison and the others all trembled and followed LuoFeng's gaze, only to see 2 beams of light rushing over. Undying energy compressed bodies attack. Tai Wo's expression changed and he immediately extended his hands. Rumble. 2 beams of light shot out from Tai Wo's hands and shot towards the 2 beams of light. Simultaneously Tai Wo shouted, "Retreat, quickly retreat." The sector lord team swiftly began to flee. Rumble. The 2 beams of light clashed with the 2 compressed undying energy fireballs, creating a terrifying explosion. The powerful ripple immediately tore apart the surrounding 1,000 kilometers area. The terrifying undying energy ripple dispersed in all directions. Luckily LuoFeng's warning was quick and Tai Wo's reaction was quick. Hence LuoFeng's team was slightly affected. No one was injured. This undying energy. Tai Wo's expression suddenly changed. This fire undying energy. Poison's expression was solemn at first, but suddenly his expression turned savage and he said hoarsely, "It's them. It's them?" The most silent warrior of the entire team, Tornado, felt the fire undying energy. One had to know that every undying had a different undying energy. Tornado's expression too became savage, his eyes red and he roared, "It's that group of corpse eaters, it's that group of corpse eaters. It's the corpse eaters." Charm Lady and Wei, the two hypnotists' expressions changed too. Madly dancing. God. Hammer. Captain Tai Wo. They were all in a state of madness. What's going on? Luo Feng and Rock were shocked. Madman, Rock, that team is our life and death enemy. Don't hold back, fight with all your might and kill them all. Kill them all. Tai Wo communicated. Seventh brother, seventh brother. Poison's voice was hoarse as tears flowed from his eyes. He would never forget that scene. Back then, the second strongest seventh brother had fought against the undying scaled creature in order to save him. In the end, he died and was eaten by the undying scaled creature in front of them. Poison had gone crazy at that time. Captain Tai Wo and the 7 old soldiers all had a mad aura. They all became beams of light and rushed into the distance. Luo Feng and Rock naturally followed. In the distance, a group of beams of light flew over. Haha, you actually didn't flee. We've long discovered you humans who were lucky enough to survive back then. I didn't expect you to still dare to fight. The 2 undying scaled creatures laughed excitedly. They were very clear on the strength of the team before them. This human team only had one undying that was hard to deal with. Back then, that team had a fighter who was very powerful, able to fight against an undying. However, in the end he was still eaten by Tuo Lu. 2 teams. One had 1 undying and 9 sector lords. The other had 2 undyings and 20 sector lords. Both sides met in space and instantly clashed. Children, kill them all and eat them all. The sturdy undying scaled creature laughed weirdly as he ordered. Yes. Yes, Lord. The group of sector lord scaled creatures laughed madly, all of them wielding blades, scimitars, etc. Their speed was extremely fast and nimble as they pounced over. Ah. Poison's voice had long since become hoarse and his face contorted savagely. With a fierce roar, his body, which was originally only 1 meter tall, suddenly expanded, growing taller and stronger. At the same time, dark green vines began to extend out from his body, spreading out in all directions. At the same time, Poison flipped his hand, causing a bottle of multicolored medicinal substance to appear. In an instant, the medicinal substance was devoured by the dark green vines. After killing, we can return to rest. The team members laughed loudly, seemingly very relaxed. They carefully searched for the enemy. After a mere 8 hours they confirmed their target. A green biological spaceship was flying in the calamitous star belt. Life ship, it was actually one of the more common ships in the universe. However, it was only popular among the demon race and other races. As for the humans and automaton race, they mainly used alloy ships and metal ships. Biological spaceships and metal spaceships had their own advantages and disadvantages. Within the control room, a male life form that was only 1.6 m tall, his entire body covered in dark red scales, reached out with his claws, grabbing a glass of fruit wine and drinking. Beside him was another life form that looked almost exactly the same. Both of them emanated fire origin laws ripples. Captains, the swallowing is complete, the life ship is 100% complete. A similarly short sector lord said respectfully. The 2 captains nodded. Within the control room there were 20 sector lords from the same race gathered. Even though these sector lords were about 1.3 m to 1.7 m tall, their eyes gleamed with savagery, their entire body covered in scales, elbows and knees had spikes. It was obvious this was a race that was good at fighting. Fui saw, the scanning device has detected battle ripples. One of the slightly stronger undying scaled life forms said. Get closer. The other scaled life form immediately ordered. At the same time, check out the opponent's strength. Within 10 seconds. We've already detected ripples, there's an undying law ripple, the rest are all sector lords. The slightly stronger undying scaled life form immediately became excited, just 1 undying. Prepare for battle. The other undying scaled life form immediately stood up and roared. Wah. The 20 sector lord scaled life forms all stood up, their bodies immediately covered in armor, weapons appeared in their hands, their eyes filled with madness and savagery. Fui saw, this little fellow is even stronger than before. The thick undying creature's claws suddenly grabbed onto a 3 m long fire red scimitar and communicated. I'll deal with this human undying, you deal with that chemist. All the children kill the human sector lord in one go. A 100 m long black chain appeared in the hands of the sturdy undying creature. The flames on the chain burned, it was like a black fire dragon dancing in space. Understood. The sturdy undying creature snickered. Kill? A group of short yet savage sector lord scaled creatures, each wielding a weapon, clashed with the human sector lords. The fiercest battle was undoubtedly between Poison and the bulkier indestructible creature Tuo Lu. Rumble. The 72 inky green vines, covered in a thin golden membrane, frantically attacked Tuo Lu, and the surrounding space constantly split apart. But Tuo Lu just laughed wildly, directly releasing his law domain, causing the surrounding starry sky to be filled with endless flames. The flames crackled as they burned, burning the inky green vines as well as Poison's body. Die, die. Poison roared, forcefully resisting the flames. Haha little fellow, you're a sector lord and you want to use this plant life to deal with me? Toru laughed savagely, the scales on his face contorted, at the same time he attacked the dark green vines that surrounded him. The fire-red blade flashed continuously. It was like two huge wheels of fire, slashing apart the dark green vines that surrounded him time and time again, even slashing apart the golden membrane, severing the dark green vines. Some of the golden membrane on the surface of the dark green vines were slashed apart, but very quickly a new golden membrane formed. Under the huge wheel of fire, the golden membrane on the dark green vines broke apart at the same time, the vines were also cut apart. Whoa! The dark green vine transmitted its painful consciousness. Imo, go all out, even if we die we have to kill him. Poison's expression was savage. Support plant life was definitely the most loyal. Once it recognized a master, if the master died it would die with him. Since its master wanted it to go all out, this dark green vine naturally wouldn't hesitate. Boom, rays of golden light and dark green vines swam thousands of miles in the starry sky, desperately besieging Tuo Lu. From time to time the dark green vines would be cut off, but some of the vines that were cut off would reconnect with the cut. It was obvious that the recovery speed was quite fast. However, every time it was cut, the dark green vine would suffer great damage. Imo. Poison howled in his heart. Powerless. He felt that, in front of this ugly undying scaled creature he was still at a disadvantage. My strength is still not enough. Even though I successfully killed an undying before, that undying used a huge hammer and couldn't even kill Imo. In the end I tortured him to death. Poison's eyes were filled with tears as he stared at his opponent and roared in his heart, Seventh brother, I must kill him, I must. Poison's battle was fierce and crazy, but the other old members were also having a hard time. Each of them suffered from 2 to 3 Sector Lord scaled creatures attacks. These Sector Lord scaled creatures were extremely savage and didn't fear death. Maybe individually they couldn't compare to them, but with 2 to 3 of them working together, it was extremely taxing for the old members. Illusions are very weak against them. Charm Lady said worriedly. Hammer held a huge shield in one hand and a huge hammer in the other, protecting her by the side. These ghouls, their home is a place filled with slaughter. They have been slaughtering since young and grew up in it. They have long fallen into a demonic state, their killing intent has long seeped into their bones. To hypnotize them is very hard, we can only kill. I killed one. Wild Dance was also in danger because he was being attacked by 4 Sector Lord scaled creatures. Hurting them is useless. Rock said hurriedly, it's useless even if I hurt them. Rock, don't destroy their life cores. Even if their bodies explode they can reform again. The moment we pierce through their bodies, we have to destroy their life cores. The god spirit said worriedly. The battle was in a frenzy. Madman, help us out. Madman, hurry up, Poison is playing with his life, he's in the most danger. Captain Tai Wo was fuming. Luo Feng, who had just killed 2 Sector Lord scaled creatures, swept his gaze. The golden blade immediately became a resplendent gold light, almost instantly tearing through the space and vanishing. Chi. A gold light appeared in midair and pierced through a Sector Lord scaled creature's chest, destroying the energy core. Large amounts of items from his internal world appeared around him. Shwa. Another gold light flashed, another Sector Lord scaled creature stared wide-eyed, his mouth opened wide, revealing his sharp teeth, after which his gaze dimmed. Shwa. LuoFeng's rage, even though he didn't unleash much, it was still comparable to an undying. His forte was the golden blade that could pierce through space. His killing speed was shocking. Those 10 Sector Lord scaled creatures, in just 3 seconds were all killed. The Sector Lord scaled creatures' corpses floated in space, their internal worlds crumbling, causing countless items to scatter about. Madman is so fierce. Powerful. The other Sector Lord team members couldn't help but be shocked. Actually, it wasn't that easy for an undying to kill the brutal Sector Lords of the outer region battlefield. It depended on the path. If it was a fighter path undying, to kill 10 Sector Lord warriors was a very troublesome matter. And LuoFeng's Nan Shen Armament was obviously suitable for chasing. What? The elite undying scaled creature Fu Wei Sa, who was fighting Tai Wo, looked shocked at the distant black armored human. Nan Shen Armament? Nan Shen Armament's 9th level? Fu Wei Sa, there's still an undying in this team. Another undying scaled creature Tuo Lu was shocked too. What do we do? Retreat. Fu Wei Sa ordered. Now the tables had turned. On the human side there were 3 undyings with strength. On their side there were only 2. And on the human side, there were still some other Sector Lords. They might not be able to kill them, but they could still affect and weaken them. We can't escape. Luo Feng had just killed 10 Sector Lord level Dragon Clan warriors in one breath, immediately controlling the Nan Shen Armament to fly towards the thick undying scaled creature Tuo Lu, who was suppressing large amounts of dark green vines. Shio. The golden sword of the flowing god instantly disappeared and reappeared 300 meters away, 2 meters behind Tuo Lu from the side. The golden sword of flowing god instantly stabbed into Tuo Lu's armor, but it was forcibly blocked by the armor. The powerful impact of the golden sword of flowing god still caused Tuo Lu's body to tremble, and the 2 curved blades he was using were affected. Immediately, the dark green vines recovered and immediately pounced towards the undying scaled creature Tuo Lu. Ichem? An undying's defense is indeed strong. In the distance, LuoFeng's eyes gleamed. Looks like the Nan Shen Armament's 9th level 1st level isn't very effective. Nan Shen Armament's 9th level was able to fight even undyings. It was actually split into 3 levels. Its power also corresponded to the Heavenly Bridge's 13th level, 14th level and 15th level, of which the 9th level first level, when unleashed, the Nan Shen Golden Blade appeared and disappeared, able to instantly travel through space and come out again. The distance was relatively short, usually just 100 m. The distance of the space travel was very short, and the Nan Shen Golden Blade's attack power was average, at most able to injure normal undyings. Normally just unleashing the first level was enough to affect undyings, causing them to be unable to chase and kill him, able to protect his life from undyings. And the 9th level second level, its attack power soared, the distance it could travel was even further. The February 1st levels had a weakness. The space travel would create ripples in space. If it was an undying with comprehension of the space laws, he would be able to sense the ripples and immediately dodge and defend. Only the 9th level third level. Its attack power soared again. Its distance could reach up to 1,000,000 km. And only the space travel was truly called teleportation. There were no ripples at all, making one unable to sense it at all. Of course this was just the weapon teleportation. The weapon teleportation was obviously much easier than the body teleportation. However, even so, this was already the theoretical limit of the Nan Shen Armament. However, obviously, this undying scaled creature's comprehension of space is still very weak, almost unable to sense the ripples. LuoFeng's gaze was cold. The Nan Shen Armament can't hurt me. The indestructible scaled creature Tuo Lu howled, intending to repel the dark green vines that were attacking him so that he could escape. Shio. The gold light flashed again. Once again he bombarded the undying scaled creature, Tuo Lu. Tuo Lu was full of confidence due to his previous experience. However, he immediately felt a terrifying force pass through his armor and into his entire body. His undying godly body instantly shook. His undying godly body felt like it was going to collapse, and his hands were completely numb. The dark green vines wrapped around Tuo Lu for the first time. So, the 72 heavily injured dark green vines swiftly shrunk to the thickness of an arm, madly wrapping around Tuo Lu. Tuo Lu struggled madly. However, in terms of pure strength, the 72 dark green vines in the special state were much stronger than him. Go and die. Poison immediately went into a frenzy, howling, "The last time an undying died like this, you're dead, you're dead. Kacha kacha." The bones in Tuo Lu's body were immediately torn apart, following which with a pang, it became a large amount of undying energy. However, the 72 dark green vines wrapped around each other and formed a shining dark green cage. There was no gap at all, completely trapping all the undying energy within. If he had reached the stage of undying body, then Tuo Lu could completely shatter and break through. But Tuo Lu clearly hadn't reached that stage. If he shattered too thoroughly, then even his spirit imprint would shatter, then he would be finished. Howl, a pained, repressed, unwilling roar resounded from within the dark green cage, after which it was destroyed. The undying Tuo Lu had fallen. Seventh brother. Poison howled, his throat seemed like it was about to break, tears flowed down, he knelt on the dark green vines before him. Over 3,000 years of regret had been buried deep within his heart, causing him to crazily research medicine to raise his strength, dreaming of one day getting his revenge. Poison had always thought that back then if his 7th brother didn't tangle with the opponent, he could have easily escaped. However, his 7th brother had saved him, going to block the undying scaled creature Tuo Lu, eventually losing his life. "I've succeeded, 7th brother, I've succeeded, I've killed that ghoul." Poison shouted within. It had been over 3,000 years. On the surface he was laughing and scolding, however this regret had always been rooted deep within his heart. This revenge, he had finally gotten his revenge. There's still another punk. Poison looked up fiercely, staring at the distant undying scaled creature Fuesa fighting Tai Wo. "Go and die." Poison controlled the plant life form. Immediately the 72 dark green vines swiftly flew into the distance. It wasn't just him. LuoFeng had already controlled the golden blade to fly towards the final enemy, which was also the strongest warrior of the Horned Devourer Clan. "Die. You can't escape." Hypnotist Wei, Succubus, Spirit Reader Frenzy, God etc., all of them unleashed soul attacks, hypnotism or long-range spirit weapon attacks. They didn't hope to injure the undying scaled creature, but as long as they could affect it a little, it would give Captain Tai Wo the upper hand. Tuo Lu is dead. Fuesa saw his comrade fall, glancing at the distant LuoFeng and Poison, he was shocked within. Those two human sector lords are very strong. The moment they join hands with this human undying, I'll be in trouble. Who knows, I might even die here. I can't care so much. The undying scaled creature Fuesa originally wanted to leave without getting injured, however with Tai Wo fighting him, in the distance LuoFeng and Poison were rushing over. Yeah. Fuser roared out savagely, the burning black chains on his body instantly disappeared. At the same time his claws fiercely punched towards the undying Tai Wo's fist. Chi. Fuesa's fist became a glaring red light. One had to know that an undying's body was an undying body, formed from endless undying energy. Once he became undying, his body could easily transform into endless undying god power, and the endless undying god power could also transform into his body. Of course he had to ensure that the soul imprint was intact. Fueser instantly abandoned both of his fists, almost using up 10% of the energy he had accumulated over countless years. Although it was only 10%, it should be known that every part of the immortal body contained a spiritual imprint. When his fists exploded, part of his spiritual imprint was also destroyed. He was not an immortal body. An immortal body could quickly recover as long as there was a trace of a cell fragment. He did not have an immortal body, so he dared to self-detonate 10% of his body. That pair of sharp claws was already his limit. Rumble. The powerful explosion blasted towards Tai Wo, and Tai Wo was sent flying. The surrounding space exploded, a huge ravine appeared in the cosmos space. Countless spatial fragments formed a current, the powerful shockwave spread out in all directions. Even the inner worlds of the Sector Lord-scaled creatures collapsed, leaving behind countless items, many of them were destroyed by the shockwave. Peng. Using the immortal armor on his body, Fuchi withstood the recoil of the explosion. At the same time he used the recoil to escape, so, in an instant he had rushed hundreds of thousands of km away. And while he was escaping, the sea of items around him were all sent flying by the shockwave. No one noticed, amongst the countless items, there was a seemingly normal black storage ring. Bastard, I let him escape. Poison gritted his teeth. He fled really quickly. Luo Feng looked at the 1 million kilometers away fleeing at light speed. When an Undying was focused on fleeing and was far away. Unless he could teleport, even an Emperor-level Undying wouldn't be able to catch up. Let's hurry and leave, the commotion before was too huge. If we take too long there will definitely be many alien teams coming over. Tai Wo ordered, hurry and collect the loot. The Sector Lord elite team swiftly collected the large amounts of loot and left in the C9 grade universe ship. Broken Star Belt, space. The C9 grade universe ship was quietly making its way back, heading towards LuoFeng's original base. Just a little bit more, we could even kill the other Undying. Poison had already returned to normal, his eyes filled with madness and excitement. Alright, it's already not bad. To be able to force that punk to self-destruct and destroy 10% of his Undying body, that's already a huge price. Tai Wo smiled. Even after 100,000 or 1 million years, the lost spirit imprint probably won't be able to recover. What's going on? Rock asked curiously, aren't these races fine even if they get blown up? Why is the price of exploding 10% of the immortal body so high? When blown up, only the body will be torn apart, at most it'll become undying energy. Tai Wo explained, and the undying energy contains energy soul imprints, it's considered the most basic structure of an undying. When that undying energy gathers, it can form another undying body. However, the moment it self-destructs, that's when even the undying energy completely explodes, not even leaving a shred behind, turning into the most basic particles. Tai Wo smiled, hence the power is huge. That's also why when blown up, there won't be a huge explosion. And the self-destruction there will be a huge explosion. Tai Wo said, that undying energy contains a soul imprint, if it's just a little bit lost then it can be recovered. However, losing 10% in one go, is equivalent to losing 10% of his soul. Even though the imprint is intact, his strength, potential etc. will be greatly damaged. I'm afraid it'll take a very long time to recover. Of course. If one trains to the undying body level no matter how much he gets blown up, even if the undying energy starts to crumble and the soul imprint is destroyed, as long as there's a shred left behind, it can instantly absorb the countless shred energies and recover the undying body. Tai Wo said, once one reaches the undying body level it'll be very hard to kill. Not to mention losing 10% of the soul, even if it's 99.99% with just a shred left behind, he'll be able to completely recover and instantly. Rock nodded in understanding. Let's toast. To number 7, to our brothers and sisters who died so many years ago, cheers. Cheers. Tai Wo, Poison, Luo Feng and the group all raised their glasses. Even though Luo Feng and Rock were newbies, they could still feel their excitement. From the day we stepped into the alien battlefield, death has always been with us. I've been in the alien battlefield for over 30,000 years, from Sector Lord to Undying. Back then many of our life and death brothers, the 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 9th have all died. Tai Wo looked at Poison beside him. Poison took a deep breath as well. Back then Tai Wo was the 2nd oldest, like Poison who entered the team later, he had always been taken care of by his 7th brother. 7th brother really liked the childlike cuteness of Poison. Old brothers die, new brothers and sisters enter. Tai Wo exclaimed, we all have our own goals. In our team people like Too Dumb retired after completing their goals. I estimate that in another 20,000 years he'll probably retire too. I hope all the brothers and sisters here can all retire alive. The group raised their glasses. Retire alive. They raised their glasses and drank it all. Actually, the old members had all completed the basic quota and were free. However, everyone wasn't willing to be ordinary, they all had their own goals. Hence they wanted to earn more points to exchange for treasures. One had to know. 100,000 points could exchange for one mixed element unit, and it could be exchanged for treasures within the army system. Amassing 1 billion points was equivalent to 10,000 mixed elements, this was practically the entire wealth of a normal Undying. If it was in the human domain, these Sector Lord warriors, even if they spent their entire lives fighting for 1,000 eras, they probably wouldn't be able to earn 10,000 mixed elements, unless they had some special encounters. And in the alien battlefield, as long as one could survive for tens of thousands of years, amassing 10,000 mixed elements was very easy. Of course, the prerequisite was to live for tens of thousands of years. Poison, your 7th brother's revenge has been avenged, from now on drink less. Tai Wo said softly. Poison nodded. Poison walked to Luo Feng's side, looking up at him, his eyes gleaming with gratitude. Madman, thank you. Hee. Luo Feng smiled. And at this time, within the world ring that the spirit reader madly used to store the spoils of war, within that world, there was a blur of large amounts of random items. Amongst them was a very normal black space ring, and within this black space ring, amongst the random items, there was a level 5 weapon. The biological ship was carefully flying within the asteroid belt. Bastard, damn humans, damn it. Within the control room, the undying scaled creature Fuwei roared, madly smashing the wine glasses and other items. Pah. Explosions, curses and curses in the Horned Ravager Clan language resounded within the control room. After a while, Fuwei finally stopped, his claws had already recovered. His eyes were filled with madness and savagery. 10% of my soul, this will make my comprehension of the space laws much slower, damn humans. I will definitely kill you all. I'm afraid you didn't even notice the very normal space ring amongst the countless items floating in space. You don't know within that space ring there's a weapon, right? Fuwei's eyes were filled with savagery. That weapon is my keepsake, it hides a bit of my spirit imprint, no matter the distance I'll be able to sense it. Sensing the keepsake, naturally I'll be able to confirm the location of you damn humans. Fuwei's eyes were filled with hatred. Undyings were able to teleport within their god country, they needed keepsakes. The keepsake could be an undying crystal because the undying energy contained a spirit imprint, or it could be a plant life form that recognized an owner, or even some specially made keepsake items, like the one the Primal Chaos City leader left for Luo Feng. The keepsake had a spirit imprint. No matter the distance, be it the internal world or god country, he would be able to sense it. No. I can't waste time. Who knows, these damned humans might discover the weapon's secret. Even though the chances of being discovered are low, I can't afford to lose. I have to take revenge, I have to kill them. Fuwei gritted his teeth. I have to immediately contact the other Undyings, my comrades, and deal with those damned humans together. Who am I looking for? Fuwei sat within the life ship, his claws tapping on the armrest, emitting a crisp sound. Suddenly his eyes gleamed. Right, my race Rikaja seems to be in the Broken Star Belt, I'm looking for him. Immediately, Fuwei split a portion of his consciousness to contact his people through the transmitter on his arm. As he did so, he cursed. The demon race is one of the top races in the universe, but when it comes to transmitting information, they are far inferior to the humans and the mechanical race. Especially the humans, it's said that they can allow their race to enter the virtual universe from anywhere in the universe, and the virtual universe is 100% real. I'm so envious. I'm a great Undying, yet I've never had such a chance. The consciousness technology was already very mature. Even these foreign race Undyings had the chance to enter the virtual world, however the range was usually very small. Like Earth's virtual world War God Shrine, it only covered the entire Earth. The virtual worlds created by these alien races could at most cover a single galaxy. It was impossible for them to cover the entire universe like the humans could. And communication was even more shameful. The universe was too huge, communication was a problem that was extremely hard to solve. Even within the demon territory, it was only possible to communicate within a star region, a universe country's area. It was like making a phone call on Earth, you could only communicate but you couldn't see the person. And it had to be within a star region, and that was within the demon territory. If it was outside the demon territory, there was no way to communicate. Of course, due to the special reasons of the outer space battlefields, every battlefield had been set up, allowing the demon race and their allies to use the communication network to communicate, but that was all they could do. The universe was huge, communication was an extremely difficult problem. Even amongst the many pinnacle races, only the humans and automaton race could communicate anywhere in the universe, and the automaton's virtual world usually only covered a star region. The entire automaton territory, they had hundreds of star regions, and every star region was its own virtual world. The moment one left the automaton territory, even though they could communicate in other parts of the universe, it was only long-distance communication, it was very simple. Only humans. Humanity had the illusory universe, a miraculous existence. Within the illusory universe, it could simulate any laws of the universe, even the fusion laws. The illusory universe could be found anywhere, and even another universe, the primal universe, was within the control of the illusory universe. With the help of the virtual universe, humanity's strength could be effectively combined. It wouldn't be strange if they could dominate a region of the universe and become a peak race. In one of the countless fragmentary stars in the fragmentary star belt, an undying scaled creature was holding a cup of wine and enjoying it. A few sector lord scaled creatures under him were praising him. Great Rikaja, you are the greatest expert of our West Mountain territory. Only you can become the future supreme lord of the West Mountain territory. Rikya. Those sector lord scaled creatures were loudly praising him. The undying scaled being was listening happily. He suddenly waved his hand and all the sector lord scaled beings under him stopped talking. Fuiza, this guy actually came to find me? Rikaja's eyes flashed with a crafty glint, his ugly claws holding the wine cup, swirling the wine in it. Receive. Rikaja. Fuiza, it's rare for you to find me. Is there anything you need my help with? You must know that I'm very busy now. I'm currently roaming the fragmentary star belt. Who knows, I might even encounter a battle. I can't be distracted talking to you. If you have something to say, hurry up and say it. If not, I might suddenly encounter a battle and be forced to cut off communication. You can't blame me then. Rikaja said. Tuo Lu is dead. Rikaja, who originally wanted to tease him, was startled, his expression turning solemn. The Dragonthirst race was a cruel and bloodthirsty race. Every member of the Dragonthirst race grew up in slaughter. They fought and killed each other, stepping on countless corpses to reach the peak. However, they fought internally. The moment they met with external pressure, the entire Dragonthirst race would instantly unite, not fearing death. How did he die? Rikaja said solemnly. Through the communication system provided by the spirit race, the two conversed. He was killed by a human. Fwiza said. Fwiza, are you stupid? This is the alien battleground. The four great races and their many subordinate races, countless experts from other races killing each other. Tuo Lu being killed by human experts is a very normal thing. In these billions of years, who knows how many of our race's experts have fallen? Rikaja said. I want to kill that human team. Fwiza said. Revenge? Rikaja was curious. You can pinpoint their location? Yes, amongst the spoils of war they collected, I threw out a space ring. That space ring was a hidden move that I had long since set up. It's precisely because one day I suffered a huge loss and wanted to take revenge. That space ring's spiritual imprint belonged to a sector lord under me. Amongst the large amount of items within the ring, there was a weapon. That weapon also seemed to have a sector lord aura. However, within the weapon there was a secret layer. Within the secret layer, there was a token of mine, containing my spiritual imprint. Unless they were official or emperor-level undyings, able to sense the extremely weak imprint within the weapon. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to discover this hidden move of mine. You really are crafty. Killing my brother's subordinates, of course I have to take revenge. You should know that during battle, the humans would first activate their detectors, and second activate the virtual universe network to determine their merits. These two would have discovered that amongst the countless items of war floating in space, a space ring had appeared out of thin air. That's a suspicious point. Don't worry, of course I wouldn't make such a stupid mistake. Fwiza said confidently. I was engaging in my strongest attack with the human undyings at that time, tearing apart the universe space. The powerful shockwave caused large amounts of items to shatter. Amongst them were a few space rings that shattered. The moment they shattered, large amounts of items appeared out of thin air. I naturally took the chance and threw out the space ring. Even if the detectors and virtual universe network noticed it, they wouldn't suspect anything. Ichim, you are crafty. Rikaja admitted Fwiza's actions indeed had no flaws. How's the human team's strength? Rikaja asked. The human team had 1 undying and 9 sector lords. Fwiza said, 2 of them had extremely powerful battle abilities, completely comparable to undyings. One was a chemist, the other a spirit reader using the Nan Shen Armament. It was the 2 of them that easily killed Tuo Lu. 3 undyings? Rikaja was shocked, following which he asked, all normal low-level undyings? Yes, think about it, no matter how strong I was, would I be able to come back alive? Fwiza said. Undyings were split into undying generals, official-level undyings and emperor-level undyings. And even the lowest undying general had different levels. The weakest could only pass the Heavenly Bridge's 10th level, while the strongest could pass the 14th level. The moment they passed the 15th level, they would be official-level undyings. From the 10th to the 14th they were all undying generals. The difference in strength was huge. Undying generals were also called normal undyings. In the alien battlefields, they were naturally split into low-level undyings, high-level undyings and pinnacle undyings. That's alright, however even if it's a low-level undyings, it's still a full 3 undyings. You and I together have no hope. Rikaja shook his head. Don't worry, I won't send you to your death. Since I've set up a trap, then I definitely have 100% confidence. Rikaja, you're just someone I invited. I heard that you're on good terms with the demon race's Meng Wei Na. Fwiza said excitedly, as long as we can invite His Majesty Meng Wei Na to come with us, even if we don't invite our other allies, just His Majesty Meng Wei Na alone will be enough to wipe out that human team. Meng Wei Na Majesty? Fwiza was shocked. Demon race, even though their communication system was weak, their own strength was simply too strong. In terms of numbers, they weren't any weaker than humans. In terms of intelligence, even the weakest demon race could match up to humans. And the demon race's innate talent was much stronger than humans, hence in terms of sector lords, undyings etc. The demon race completely suppressed the humans. However, the human race's experts were very strong, along with the virtual universe's effective cooperation. In the real universe, they had never been suppressed by the demon race. The 2 pinnacle races had been at war for who knows how long. The demon race and humans were different. The demon race valued bloodlines more. Just like the space beast's bloodline determined the difference in strength. The demon race valued bloodlines extremely strongly, hence there were many high and mighty royal families, as well as a few legendary royal families. There were countless races within the demon race. To be able to be classified as a royal family or royal family, it represented the level of bloodline. As long as one was a member of the royal family or royal family, they would all be addressed as Majesty. Like the Horned Dragon Clan and other vassal clans, they were also very respectful towards the demon race. Just like the Golden Horn Clan and other vassal clans, they respected the humans. Meng Wei Na Majesty is a member of the Zichin Thousand Snake royal family, invite him? Rikaja was a little hesitant. Meng Wei Na Majesty's normal form, Even though he's only a normal high-level Undying, when his talent explodes, his battle strength is close to official level. Frieza said, below official level he can pretty much sweep through everyone. With him, we definitely have a 100% chance. I can help you, but I don't have a single bit of confidence. Rikaja said. Give me Ming Wei Na Majesty's communication code. Tell him first, then I'll look for him. I have 100% chance of inviting him to help. Frieza said. 100% chance? Rikaja was shocked. You'll know very soon. Frieza said confidently.